Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Andrew, and as you may know, we're moving from Texas to North Carolina. We're currently in the thick of the home buying process. There's a lot of costs that occur when finding a property. From the down payment to inspections, we'll go over them all and show you what you can expect on this edition of Easy Money. For most people, a home is the biggest purchase you'll make in your life, and it's a purchase most will only make once or twice in a lifetime. So it's very common for us to not understand the process or all that goes into it. My wife and I bought our first home in 2009 for $86,000. We went through the entire process, owned the home for a total of 8 years, rented it out for 4 before we even knew how it all worked. I totally get that this whole process is complicated. Before you begin talking with a realtor and purchasing a home, it's important to make sure you can actually afford to buy it. First, you'll need to make sure you have a credit score of 620 or higher. 90% of the mortgage loans out there will require this. Second, you'll need to know how much house you can afford. What will your monthly payment be? Let's say you figured out you can afford a $250,000 home with a monthly payment of $1,300 or less. Great! How much cash will you need to bring to this purchase? There's a lot of parties involved in the purchase of a property. I think it's important to mention all the parties involved in the purchase. You have the buyer, the realtor, the seller, the lender, the appraiser, the inspectors, the lawyer, title company, and of course, the tax man. There's definitely a lot of different people with their hands in the pot. So who gets paid and from where? Well, this is you. You're the one forking out the mass majority of the money, if not all of the money, to pay everyone else here. There will typically be 2 realtors, the one who listed the property and the one helping you out. They each get 3% commission on the purchase of the home. If the same realtor is both the listing agent and the showing agent, they'll get 6%. The cost for this comes out of the check you pay the seller. So technically, the seller pays the realtor fees. The seller. This is the party selling the property. If you buy the home for $250,000, they pay 6%, $15,000, to the realtor at closing. Depending on the deal you come up with, they may also cover some of the closing costs. The seller will get a check in the full amount of the home's purchase price from the lender. This is the entity that is loaning you the money to purchase the property. You'll work with a loan originator to coordinate all of this. Depending on what type of credit you have and how much of a down payment you place, that determines how much you give the lender. Most loans will require anywhere from 3.5% to 5% down payment. And if you want to avoid mortgage insurance, you'll put down 20% or more. Typically, the average person is putting 5% down, so we'll go with that. On a $250,000 property, you'll be required to pay a down payment of $12,500. Well, unless you have cash, of course. Then you won't have a lender involved at all. But most of us don't have that kind of scratch lying around. Once you make an offer on the home, you're going to get more people involved, like the appraiser. In order for the mortgage lender to have faith in the value of your purchase, they'll require an appraisal of the property. The appraiser will come out, crunch some numbers, and determine the approximate value of the property. This typically costs around $500. Then we have inspectors. You have a choice to have the property inspected or not. I highly recommend you get an inspection. This will help you learn if there are any major issues with the home before purchase. The cost of an inspection can run between $250 to $500. If they do find something like an electrical issue or issue with the roof, you can hire additional experts to come and check it out. Most plumbers, electricians, roofers will come out and give you a quote and inspect for free, but if there is a fee, it's usually around $100. Someone has to make sure all of this is legal and be a third party to make sure everything's done right. Now, lawyer fees, they can vary. Anywhere between $250 to $1,500. The title company will make sure the paperwork for the home is all intact and ensure the proper transfer of ownership of the property, and they charge a lot of fees. Of course, we have the tax man, always has to take their share. And there may always be additional fees. Here's a sample of approximate closing fees. Yes, there are a lot of fees. Credit report fee, IRS transcript fee, tax service fee, lots of fees. Then you add in the escrow costs, which are insurances and taxes, and you get your total closing costs. In this case, $5,686 in closing fees. This is a lot of information and can come off as a very complicated and detailed process. And in many ways it is. There's a lot of money going all over the place, but let me simplify it for you. You find a property for $250,000. You pay 5% down, which is $12,500, and you have to cover the closing costs, which are about $5,700. So you will need a check for $18,200 at closing to purchase this property. It's important to know that closing costs can ebb and flow. Nationally, they can be anywhere between $3,500 to $12,000 depending on location, size of the property, value of the property, and the state of the current title. With all of this said, let me share with you the easy money to find in this situation. The buyer does not have to cover all of the closing costs. You can always ask the seller to bring money to closing as well. You work that into the deal. Say you make an offer on the house that you'll purchase it for $250,000, and then they will bring $5,000 to closing. In this case, you'd only need to bring $13,200 to closing with you. When purchasing a house, all kinds of deals can be made, and everything is negotiable. Perhaps you like the curtains or want to be sure a wall is painted. Anything is possible. Be sure to ask for concessions and renegotiate after you get the inspection back. Perhaps the sink faucet leaks. You know you can fix it yourself for $25, but you can ask the seller to pay for it. Take it off the price of the property or bring that extra cash to closing. Go through the inspection, add up all the things you know you can fix, and get the seller to cover the cost. If purchasing a property is something you're interested in, start now. Work on bringing and maintaining your credit score above 650. Save up to 10% of the value of the home to cover the down payment, closing costs, moving costs, costs of making any updates to the property if you desire to do so. In the end, it's always better to save and have extra. I used to think all you needed to purchase a property was a down payment. In reality, purchasing property, like so much else, costs more, as it is with everything. The more research and effort you put in on the front end, the greater the difference later on down the road. Owning property is an exciting part of life. I hope each and every one of you have the chance to own your own place. I really appreciate you watching. I hope you found this information helpful. If so, please share it with others and be sure to tap that like button and subscribe for more easy money. I'm Andrew, this is Easy Money, and now it's time to invest in yourself.